Hi everyone, this is Denise Taylor coming at you guys, and I just want to talk about some things for as how to tell if you have a good landlord or a bad landlord. We'll talk about because sometimes we can pick the wrong kind of place to live and the right kind of place to live. Now, I've had some good landlords, some very good landlords, and I've had some terrible landlords that don't want to do anything. And I have written down some tips and some things to look for when you go and look for a place to live. Because see, in the long run, you want to be happy of what you're living in. For one, and like I said, I've written it down. Things that you deal with and you're looking for when you are dealing with good landlords. Now, when you're looking for a good landlord, the first thing you always, when you step in the house, you always want to check the locks. Check to see how weak or how strong is the deadbolt on the door. Ask if the screws in the door are long or short. If it's short, then it's not a good lock, because somebody can easily kick that in and be in your place before you know it. But if they're long screws, that the little lock piece that goes into from the knob to the door, those you want for us to be long. And if they don't have it and you decide to rent it, just replace those, the long ones, to the long ones, not the short ones, but the long ones, as long as you can get for a door. Okay. Now, the second thing is, when you walk into the house, you want to look at the paint. You want to look at the woodworks. You want to look at the ceiling to see if there was any leakage or anything, because it always have a kind of a stain, no matter how much they paint over it. If they have not replaced the drop ceiling or the ceiling itself, it will also have that discoloration up there. So you want to check that to make sure that there was no leakage, because it could be a reoccurring thing to where they will, you might run some water or may have a leak up under the between the wood, the floor and the ceiling, and might have a leak in there, and you don't want that to be recurring, and then that responsibility might fall on you, especially if you don't have home insurance. Okay, and then you also want to look at the carpet. When you come in, you want to look at the carpet, make sure that the carpet is clean. If it's been steam clean, how is it new? Because honestly, I have a thing about old carpet. If it's fairly good and they had a steam clean and it's fairly new, like I said, that's fine. But I'm not too crazy about somebody else's dirt. You know what I'm saying? So always ask if how new is the carpet, if it's when was the last time it been cleaned. And also ask if you can paint if you don't like the colors of the walls. Okay, now another thing is the bathroom. Big pet peeve for me. Okay, you want to make sure when you walk into the bathroom, if there's a window, you want to see how well the window is sealed, if it closes good, if it has enough caulk around it to make sure in the wintertime there is no air coming through. Also, you want to make sure there is no mildew around the tub area, because some places they get over big time, they'll try to cover it up, but you want to make sure that there's no mildew around the tub, the windows, or the ceiling. Now, the last place I had, I'm not going to give any names on this one because it's pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And I lived on the 3rd floor, and every time you would take a shower, the steam, I opened my window, but the steam from the water would get onto the ceiling, and the ceiling would turn brown, and then all of a sudden, you would have mildew all the way around. But I clean my bathroom at least twice a week to keep down from mildew and cracks. You want to make sure you don't have any cracks in the floors or in the walls, because even in my bathroom, I noticed a few years ago when we had that slight earthquake, it was a shift in the wall to where I could see the crack. So you want to make sure they replace and do all that they supposed to do. And also ask them, because I have another thing, I don't like using nobody else's shower heads. I like to use my own shower head. If I'm renting a place, I should have the choice of what shower head that I put in there. That's just my phone, I'm sorry. Okay. Another thing is, you want to make sure to look at the kitchen. The kitchen, you want to make sure there's plenty of counter spaces. You want to make sure that there is cabinet space, you know, because last place, it was so, the cabinets were so old to where if you take a pot or a skillet or a pan out of the cabinet, wood sheddings would be in there. And then you get these itty bitty black bugs you can see in there. And I didn't like that. I think they were like little itty bitty termites that were eating at the wood. But that, you know, my thing is I try to exterminate myself, even though it's on the landlord or the complex to do that. I try to, but you can't always take it in your own hands to do stuff when it's somebody else's responsibility when you're paying all the money. Okay, now another thing is, also I'm big on this, make sure you don't have rodents and roaches. Now how do you do this is open up the cabinets, look and see, and see a lot of these things the landlord should take care of before they even show this place to you, because you can smell it when you first come in there, and you can see and smell if they're going to take care of it, if it's disgusting, if it's, you can see that and you can smell that. And the roaches kind of leave like a black powder residue in the corners of the cabinets. And how I know is when I first moved into my place, this is years ago, and I was pregnant. The lady that used to live in the house had roaches so bad to where when they bombed her house, they had to bomb her house at least 4 or 5 times in 1 week. And they were coming outside on the windows and on the walls. And my neighbors was telling me that's how bad it was. And she used to do hair. People used to pay her to come to their house instead of them going to hers. Okay, so now, need not to say that's trifling, but when I got in there, I cleansed and I washed. Me and my husband sprayed, we bombed everything. You know, the little handle thing that was in the kitchen that you squeeze, it looks like the thing that you rinse your hair out when you wash your hair out with. I took that and I just went to town all over the cabins. I didn't care if my whole kitchen was flooded. I had to get that out of there. And then once I got that out of there, it was so much better. It was so neat. It was so good. So you have to look. These are the things that you need to look for and to understand if you want to be happy and you want to live in that one place for a long time. And landlords, this is also for you guys things that people are looking for when they're renting. Some things that you need to take initiative to take the time out to clean. Another thing is the refrigerator. When you go into the refrigerator, look and see if the landlord takes the time out to clean and make sure that everything is clean in the refrigerator. If they don't take time to clean the refrigerator, they're poor landlords. Another thing is stove. Look inside the stove. If the oven is dirty, pull the drawer from the very bottom out. If it's dirty, they're not clean. The landlords is no good. Lift up the stove, the top of the stove where the eyes is at. Lift that thing up. If that is filthy in there, they're poor landlords. And why I say that is because that right there can start a fire. Okay. Now another thing is, I know it's not the landlord responsibility to clean that, but my thing is, the landlord should make sure the last tenant had that clean. And that's on them. And landlords, and that's something you need to also make sure when you rent out to these places and they move out, that everything is intact, so you don't have to do too much. It's good that you go in with some bleach and Pine-Sol afterwards and make sure that it's clean, the floors are clean or whatever. Move out the refrigerator, clean behind that. Move out the stove, clean behind that, so nothing gets on fire, so nothing can be hazardous. And I know it's a lot, but it's your property that you're renting out. So you want to make sure that your tenants are happy and that your tenants stay there for a long period of time. And that your tenants can give a good word to someone else to come in and stay, because you know what? It's the tenants that brings in other people in. And other people spread the word of how clean and how well you guys manage and keep these places clean. Okay? And also ask the landlord, tenants, how often they spray. You know, if they spray for bugs or spray for mice, you need to know how often they spray. And landlord, stop this move 3 feet but from behind, you know, from the walls. That's a hassle right there. People got heavy furniture, and you got elderly people out here who can't move that stuff, so they have to call somebody in to do that, and then you want to charge somebody extra for not moving it. No, what you need is a better system to where you don't have to move all that stuff. You know you need to get behind something. That's what they have those long spray things for. Get in the corners of it and spray. That's what you do. Don't have these people out here inconvenience. Also, another thing, big P. Make sure if you renting and they send maintenance people over, make sure you stay there with the maintenance people. I've had maintenance people still. Not saying all of them do that, but you have to watch them. Do not allow people to come in your house when you're not there. And another thing is, what I start doing, I start changing my locks on the door. Now, I know I said that from the beginning when you come in. You can keep the same lock. That's up to you. But me personally, I changes my locks. And I ask the landlord, is that okay? Because I don't want nobody coming in my house when I'm not there. And no, I'm not giving them a key just in case. No. I change my locks for my own protection, so that way when I'm not home, I feel that okay, it's okay because they're not coming in my house. Either if you're not going to change it, then get the camera thing to put in your house. That way you can see what's going on at all times. Okay? Okay, wash and dry. You want to make sure that the unit has a washer and dryer that is clean. How often did they use it? How old is the machine? Because it can be made in 1985 and it can be restored and look new, but it has some issues. And then they want you to come out your pocket to pay for it. Okay. Bedrooms. You want to make sure how big the bedrooms are, how big the closets are, how big the windows are. If it's a room enough for you to put if you got a king size bed or the California king size bed, I don't care what you have, you want it to be enough room. And that's another thing. You landlords need to stop charging so much for rent when it's hardly, you run from the front door to the window and you outside. No, that is not right. You need to stop charging so much money for this stuff, and because of the fact that it's ridiculous. You know, you're gonna charge $1,500 for a 2-bedroom apartment. You can't do that. Okay? If you want people to come and live and stay and be able to afford it, you have to stop doing that and stop going up every year because you feel like it. You know, keep it at the same amount. If you rent a 2-bedroom for $1,000 and you stay up on that maintenance, you stay up on what you're supposed to, you have a good tenant. You will have somebody there for 5-10 years, and look at the money you have accumulated from the first year to 10 years. And look how many people they have referred to that complex because you are good landlords. Okay. Another thing is storage space. Now, a lot of apartment complexes, they do have storage spaces, but they charge you for it. And I feel that's another thing they're wrong for too, because you don't want people to put their bikes or grills or whatever on the balcony. And I know you said, well, we don't want people grilling on the balcony. Hey, if you cannot do. If you don't want a person to have a cat in their house or a dog in their house or a bird in their house, okay, then you shouldn't rent, because of the fact that you telling a person, hey, I'm controlling your life, you cannot have this. So you need to, then if that's the case, then you need to lower the rent. Okay. And then, like I said, with the storage space, you need to, that unit should have its own storage space. If you have 4 or 5 apartments on one floor, one of those rooms should be a storage room. One of those apartments should be a storage room. Or you make the apartment big enough to have its storage unit in there. And if you decide to make an apartment one storage room, then put different closets and different doors on it to where people can put it in there on that floor. And I don't mean people on the 3rd floor can come down and use the 2nd floor storage. People on the 3rd floor should have their own storage. People on the 2nd floor should have their own storage, and people on the 1st floor should have their own storage. Simple as that. And if you're charging all this money, I think every apartment should have their own laundry room in their apartment. Not something that the whole building has to share, because everybody is not clean. Now, the last time I lived in one of the apartments, I went to go wash my clothes, and the last person that used it had dog hair all in there. I mean, my friend, she lived on the 1st floor. She went and grabbed a paper towel, put some bleach on it, and she took a whole paper towel and stirred it around, and it looked like a wolf took a bath in there. Come on now. This is why I said each apartment need to have their own laundry room. If I had the chance to run a complex, I may not own it, but to run it and making good money for it, you better be sure that I am going to make sure that my tenants or the people that I'm working for is happy. If I got to go and walk door to door just to make sure each and every person is happy, hey, is there something going on? Is there all the outlets is working good? If they're the ceiling fans working good, is there something wrong with the washing machines? I would get out there, and then I would say, okay, this is, Denise, I work for the rental office, so call me if you need me. But I just wanted to let you guys know, this is the good things that you need to look for when you are looking for apartments, when you're looking for houses, or whatever you're looking for, condos, whatever. Make sure you hold the landlords accountable for what you're paying for. Because if not, then who suffers? You do. Your kids do. So, other words, just hold them accountable for everything. If something breaks, tell them. And landlords, if it breaks, jump right on it. Because a happy tenant is always money in your pocket. I'm signing out, and I hope and I pray that everything goes well. I hope you have a blessed week. I enjoy talking to you guys. God bless you, and I'll talk to you guys next week.